So one of the things about running a digital media program is we have to think about how people work in the real world. And so the instructors started thinking about remote instruction, what it meant to communicate well, whether it was in a classroom or online. As we switched to online, we realized that there were a lot of things that were actually more efficient online and much more like a real world environment if you were working in a large studio.
So I'll be instructing Building Virtual Worlds, also known as Projects One, with Darcy. The two of us are there to teach you all about designing, strategizing, and prototyping digital solutions. It's all about getting comfortable with ambiguity and iterative design and agile development. And essentially what you'll be doing is collaborating on a team-based project. I am what's known as a professor of professional practice. What this means is that alongside my teaching responsibilities at the Center for Digital Media, I also have my own design practice. And so I've been doing a lot of remote work, not just in the past 6 months, but for a number of years. And I'm looking forward to sharing my knowledge about what that looks like in the real world and helping you learn and grow from that.
So Foundations of Digital Media, as one of the core courses this fall, is really focused on a lot of different topics, including the history of digital media, ethics and law, and a little bit of business. And within our course, we've designed an asynchronous approach with topics every week that will have a little bit of lecture, a little bit of readings, some watching some videos, maybe listening to podcasts, kind of a range of different technologies, and a lot of different approaches for you to respond in your own time.
Every year there's a large topic that comes from the real world and has a huge impact on how we think about foundations of digital media and alters it and changes it in real time. And that's always such fun, and it happens every year. So I always wonder, what will it be this year?
Like the other courses being offered at the Master of Digital Media program in the fall, the improv course embodies the principles of yes and. The objectives of the course are to identify different aspects of improvisation or spontaneous behavior that manifests when you work with others creating digital media prototypes. In the fall, the improv course will be completely reinvented to address the challenges that we face working and collaborating with others at a distance. And this will prepare you for a radically transformed industry.
The Foundations of Game Design course uses a flipped classroom model, and I've been doing this for several years now. So that means in the fall, it will be very similar to what I would normally be teaching. What the flipped classroom model means is that instead of lecturing in class, I sent all my lecture materials home with you to read in advance of the class, so that when we get together, we are able to more effectively use the time to discuss the concepts, to practice this in exercises, and to apply it directly to your projects. In my class, students can look forward, obviously, to playing and creating games, which is going to be really fun, but they can also expect a lot of creativity, a lot of humor, and overall, a really engaging experience.
Project that I supervised in the spring was with JIBC, which is the Justice Institute of BC. They do a lot of training of first responders, and in particular, they train paramedics. So they turned to my team to look at a virtual reality option to train their paramedics. In general, the client was super impressed with what the students were able to build for them. The team also was able to manage that relationship with the client really well online. They had the tools to do that. And CDM students in general have the digital expertise to be able to jump online. So yeah, the transition was very smooth.
One of the challenges as a project manager I find with a remote team is not being able to have that one-on-one experience of getting to gauge how your teammates are actually feeling and doing. And so to cope with that, we did a lot of online retrospectives, and yeah, it took a bit of adapting, but once we got into it, you know, it's kind of nice to have the flexibility to work from home and we were able to complete our projects no problem.
In the beginning, we got some of the initial user tests done for the people that we needed to before the social distancing measures. But then after that, we got together as a team and we were like, how can we still test our features? I think we were lucky enough that we had about 3 virtual reality headsets within the group internally. We used those as unbiased as we could be, and we tried to test our product ourselves. The way that we did it was that if I was in charge of creating a feature, I wouldn't test that product. Someone else on my team would test it, and I would test something that they had done. Yeah, I think our results spoke for themselves. I think the client was happy, the team was really happy for the work we'd done.
So before COVID happened, we actually got off really well. We would spend lunchtime together, just watching Netflix, and we would even hang out after office hours sometimes too. So when COVID came around, one of the things that we try to stay consistent on was basically just continue having lunches together and still continue watching Netflix together through Netflix party. The trick is to forge that bond, even if it's remote, try to do more stuff that may not be work related.
So what we did is quickly learn to use all those new supporting softwares. For example, we use Zoom for our daily meetings, and then Slack for project-related communications. We also use Miro for sprint activities and all kinds of discussions. Trello to track the progress, and Sketch and Figma for remote user test. Fortunately, one of the most important skills we learn at the CDM is to be agile. I guess part of being agile is about frequent reassessment and adaptations of plans. So we're prepared for changes.
The value of remote learning for students heading off into industry is that the MDM program doesn't necessarily set them up as just remote learners. They're really remote collaborators, remote innovators, and remote difference makers. The digital teachers of tomorrow are the students of today, and those that know the digital technologies, they're going to be the difference makers of tomorrow.